Sculpting a Hand Vase Part 2 by Stacy Hoffman, copyright 2010. For Part 2, we're going to take the vase part that we have already pre-cooked in our toaster oven and add the hand. I'm going to manipulate the clay back and forth a couple of times to rewarm it so it's at maximum flexibility, and then I'm going to make a roughly teardrop shape. I'm going to press the top of the teardrop until it is a reasonably flattened form. I don't want to make it too thin. I'm going to take my wooden knife tool and make slices in the top of the clay in order to make 4 separate fingers. 1, 2, 3, 4. I will separate each finger with my hands and gently stretch it until it's the proper length that I desire for this hand. Because this is a sculpture that is a duplicate of what was relatively a rough sculpture historically wise, I'm not trying for extreme realism in this hand. While I want the shape to be roughly correct, I'm not going to bother to put in fingernails, tiny wrinkles, etc. Just the major elements of the hand will do for this purpose. Here I'm shown shaping the fingers. And after I have the fingers shaped, I will press lightly together the last 3 digits, as these will be curved around the base of the vase. The forefinger will be allowed to stick out into the atmosphere for a more graceful pose. Here I'm shown cleaning up between the digits and pressing the clay gently together with my pointed stylus. This also was sculpted out of wood. I like wood for this job because it does not stick to the polymer clay, and nor does it leave grease marks, etc. that metal tools sometimes do. Now I'm going to press the palm part out until it is a little bit more flat. And make an indent below the palm area to indicate the wrist. Here I've pulled out a piece of clay and am shaping the thumb. This was just drawn out from the base of the clay instead of cut with the knife. Now I'm pushing it upwards, and I'm using my tool to crease below the palm to make more of an indentation at the wrist. Now I'm taking my bullet tool, and using my bullet tool, I will make an indentation around the thumb and the pad that goes down into the palm. Here I'm shown thinning out the palm and pushing the edge to the side. I want a concave palm with the fleshy parts of the palm being relatively shaped in. Again, I'm not trying for extreme realism here. I'm going to go ahead and use the pointed stylus wooden tool to make the creases in the fingers. These are just the major creases that you will see as you look at your hand. This is perhaps not the world's most necessary step, as the bulk of the palm of the hand will vanish once you put the vase in. But it's always good practice. Sculpting these hand vases are a really good way to sharpen your sculpting tools without having to worry about getting the precision of two hands exactly alike. Here I'm shown making the creases in the fingers. Just by gently pressing in along the sides with the stylus. Using the bulk of the clay in the Fimo Translucence, this gives it a very good feel. This is a clay that will retain its shape, so when you're doing an armature-free sculpture like this, you don't have to worry quite so much about distorting it as you shape it. Here I'm shown simply refining the hand a little bit more. And next I will be placing the vase section into the base of the hand and curling the fingers around it to hold. The rest of the hand is done in one step, and no further cooking is done until the whole is completed. Because of the limitations of YouTube, I am going to stretch this out into a part 3. For deeper indentations, the bullet tool will work well without leaving harsh marks. The sharp stylus is used majorly for creases and fine-tune the silhouettes of the fingers. Remember, when you cook this, the extreme color variations you see now will not be the same, as the white areas will become translucent and the contrast will be much less marked. Here I'm shown gently folding the fingers around the vase. I'm leaving the forefinger sticking out and the rest of the fingers are curved around the bottom of the vase to meet the thumb on the other side. Depending on your personal preference, you can make the hand large or small in comparison to the vase shape. Here I'm using my stylus to clean it up and adding just a little bit more detail, as pressing the fingers around will distort the clay slightly. I'm running out of time for this segment, so I will close and go on to part 3. Thank you for joining me, Stacy Hoffman.